So we'll start with the sutra. I think Keta will just read out the sutra first. Yep.
Absolutely. Hope everyone can see the screen. The sutra goes like Tat
Tata.
Tata Pratyak Chetana Adhigama Api Antaray
Antaraya.
Antaraya Abhavascha.
Abhavascha. Abhavascha.
And for if you take each of the words, Tataha means from that.
Thereafter from that, yeah.
Thereafter from that. That meaning the previous sutra, which is which we saw was sounding of the word or pranav and reflection upon the meaning. So from that sutra, Pratyak means inwards or backwards. Chetana means awareness, consciousness, or attention. So from that, there is a backward or an inward moving of our attention, adhigama, completely backwards, right? So there's a completely backward movement of our awareness or consciousness.
Adhi will mean to go over, to leap over. Gum to go, yeah.
To leap over.
To leap over, yeah.
Api also. Antarai are the obstacle or the things that get in the way. Abhav, the disappearance or absence of those obstacles. And cha means and.
Yeah.
So Tavariaji translates it as, from this, which is the sounding of the word or pranav and reflection upon its meaning, comes the realization of the self and the removal of all obstacles.
Thank you. I just like to talk something here today, in the sense that when I read this sutra, just one thing came to my mind, and that was Tavariya Sahib's prism exercise. So before going into the sutra, I want to talk about the prism exercise, and I want to talk about what we call attention and some of the deeper aspects, some of the deeper secrets of attention. And over years, as we practice the prism exercise, it is these inner properties of attention which reveal themselves to us, right? So, the deepest secret of attention is that when we are using attention to look at an object, to understand an object, we are in reality looking at the seer too, looking at the looker too. And this is the highest quality of attention. And it is something which, through practice, which we can develop, and we can come to this state where we have upgraded our attention. Over a long period of time, we have upgraded the potency, we have allowed the hidden qualities in the attention to manifest, where we come to a state where I think I'm no longer just looking at you. When I'm looking at you, I'm looking at myself at the same time. And this is the deepest aspect of attention. And this aspect can be uncovered. It can be what you call worked upon, acquired through the prism exercise. And that is why I want to talk a little bit about the prism exercise before going into the sutra. Now, Mr. Tavariya, he used to, whenever I would talk to him about meditation, he would use a word called meditative attitude. He said, we don't have to work for meditation, we work for something called meditative attitude. Now, what is attention? And what is the quality of our attention? And can we upgrade the quality of our attention? Can we work upon our attention? When I upgrade my attention by working upon my attention through the prism exercise, Uh, does it make a difference in my power of perception, what I get through perception? I'm looking at you, but if the quality of my attention is different, then do I perceive something more when I'm looking at you? And this is very important because all the Indian Shastras are related to just one point, and that is darshanam, atha yoga darshanam. And darshan depends upon the quality of attention. And as the quality of attention increases, that which is perceived also changes. That which we ordinarily perceive, it changes completely. There's a radical change in that. So there are three factors involved in attention. This is the speed at which my attention responds to a stimuli. That could be an external stimuli, it could be an internal stimuli, the speed at which I notice something, right? And we must be aware that as we grow old, this speed does automatically, what you call, sort of get slower. And so the attention has to be exercised every day. We want to increase the speed, increase this power of noticing things. The second point in attention is the ability of attention to grasp, the ability of attention to comprehend the Artha, the object in front of the senses, or the inner object. That is the power. What is its power of grasping? What is the inner inherent? And this we saw in our last talk, that this grasping is called by pratyay. And later on, when we go deeper into the Yoga Sutra, there is one sutra on Shabda Artha pratyay. So this grasping of the Artha outside, this understanding, because this, unless I've grasped it properly, it will not lead to proper understanding of what it is, right? So there is a grasping, comprehending of the stimuli. And after that, there is an understanding, there's a quality of perception. That is, what do I see in front of me? And the power of grasping will lead to the quality of perception. And it is these three things which are involved with attention, right? And when we work on attention, it is these three which we want to work upon. Attention is the movement of light, the traveling of consciousness between the seer and the object which is seen. Now, when we look at an object, what are we actually seeing? Say we are looking at a flower in the garden. Now, in our present condition where we are conditioned by mechanicalness, when we look at a flower or when we look at anything, any object, a train of thought automatically starts in the mind. And I may name the flower, or I may say it's very beautiful, or I may say, yes, I may compare it with some other flower which I have seen previously, etc. So whenever we see an object, there is a train of thought which automatically starts in the mind. And we could be naming it, we could be reminded of its properties. But what we don't realize, that the minute we start thinking, our attention has gone from the flower to the thought of the flower. There is this automatic movement of attention from the flower to the thought of the flower. The thought has abducted my attention. The thought has kidnapped my attention. This, if I'm thinking of the properties of the flower, we say yoga chitta vritti nirodh. Vritti means to go round and round in the same place. So the attention went on the flower, a process of thought started, though that process of thought started from memory. So one of the vrittis we know is memory, smruteya, right? So the vritti of memory abducted my attention. I hope I'm coming across in this. I hope I'm able to explain this. So there is a seduction of attention. So from just chitta, that is paying of attention, which is just pure chitta, I have now brought memory in, which is chitta vritti, right? The vritti has been created and my attention keeps on going round and round. Vritti means, you know, that whirlpool in the water and goes round and round in that vritti. Now, now, just try to remember that supposing this process has started, and at some time in this process, I become aware that instead of looking at the flower, I have gone into a train of thought. So I pause that train of thought. That very awareness pauses the train of thought, and I bring my attention back on the flower. Now, if we have observed this properly within us, we will see that at the moment of shifting our attention back to the thought, we are stopping the process of thinking. There is a pause, there is a gap in the process of thinking. Now, what is the key to hold attention on the flower? So the key is what Mr. Tavariaji calls the energy of sensitivity. We bring the five senses to the flower. We try to, and when the five senses are brought to the flower, the attention is always in the present moment on the flower. That is, we smell the flower, we look at its colors, we feel it, etc. Now, the same thing happens in the prism exercise. And when we practice the prism exercise, we are looking through the prism. We are saying that the prism has no bottom, right? There is no bottom of the prism, and we are looking far away through and through the prism. And the minute something comes in, maybe we hear a car horn, or maybe we get an itch somewhere, or maybe we get a smell from somewhere. Any stimuli comes in, we drift from the prism into a train of thought. The same thing which happened with the flower, right? We drift from the prism into a train of thought. Now, in the prism, when we realize that we have drifted into a train of thought, we try to bring our attention back into the prism, but not just back into the prism. We try to look more further away. We make this extra effort of looking further and further away. Now, the more we can hold attention in the prism, through the prism, far away, we are holding attention in the present moment. There is an experiencing of the present moment. There is a sensitivity of the present moment. And as we keep on practicing this, we sort of upgrade the power of our attention. That is, the quality of our attention changes. The quality of the grasping power of our attention changes. In the last sutra, in the meanings, we had seen one word called bodhayati, right? The power of grasping, buddhi, the power of grasping. That is the intelligence within us which can grasp, right? So as we keep on practicing the prism exercise, We are upgrading our power of grasping something. We are upgrading the power of attention. Now, what does Tavariaji mean by a meditative attitude? It means, in its most basic form, the ability to hold attention on an object and later on to hold attention without an object also. We'll go into that. With no interference of thought, feeling, sensation, right? Just holding attention on an object. It is a kind of just silent alertness of the object. It's just a flow inside, which is happening inside. And as we practice this prism exercise, we go deeper and deeper into the prism exercise. And I know there are 6 prism exercises mentioned in the book, but one day I was sitting with him and we were talking about the prism exercise. And he said, you don't really have to go to the others. The first is the last exercise. So just by practicing the first exercise is more than enough. Now, in the prism exercise, as we practice, we will experience moments where the prism disappears. There is no object to hold our attention outside. And in those moments, we will learn to keep on looking more and more further. We are not bothered about that the prism has gone away. They're not bothered that the prism has disappeared. We are developing this power of attention, so we are keeping on looking further and further. Now, if we have practiced this for a few months, every day in the morning, then we can practice without the prism in the daytime. Right? I mean, many people stay in Mumbai. When I was in Mumbai, I used to catch the train to the stock market every day. So, you can practice anywhere. So you're sitting in the train and instead of drifting and daydreaming, try to hold an object in attention and try to hold your attention and time it. How long can you hold your attention on an object without the interference of thought? We are practicing to upgrade our attention. We are doing the prism exercise without the prism. Now, in our initial stages, to hold the attention in the present moment, we brought in the energy of sensitivity to have a sensitivity of the object on which our attention is flowing. Right? Now we want to hold attention in the present moment without any object to hold the attention. That is, we are not now putting the attention on any object. We are just holding free attention in the present moment. That is pure seeing without the seeing of any particular object. Now, to hold it in the present moment, there was a sensitivity of the object. But when we don't have an object, we are holding free attention. And please understand that attention is a flow. And we can have a sensitivity of flowing water. Now, we may sit by the side of a river for a few hours in meditation, and there's an inner sensitivity of flowing with the water. So you take the water out, but there's an inner sensitivity of flowing. Attention is flowing from inside to outside onto a particular object. So when we don't have the object, we are not bringing in the sensitivity of the object, as we practice holding attention without the object, we will come to a stage where we have a sensitivity of the attention itself. There is a sensitivity of the flow of attention itself. At this moment, there is a deep quality hidden in attention. And that is the property of attention to fold back upon itself. That is, the attention was going towards an object. Now we have removed the object, and now we are just holding the attention as if it's on an object, but there's no object there. And we feel this attention moving, but it is a free attention, and the attention will fold back upon itself. This is the beginning of inner self-consciousness. We don't have to do anything. We do not have to divide the attention. Please understand, because Gurdjieff talks about dividing attention, and this is absolutely not necessary, right? We don't divide the attention. We bring in free attention without the object. Attention has its own inherent property of looking at itself, looking at where it has come from. And we have said in our earlier talk, attention is a property of the soul which has been abducted, kidnapped by the body-brain system. So now it is as if with its own eyes, the eye is looking at the eye. It is looking at itself. And as we practice this prism exercise, we will start getting glimpses of when the attention folds back upon itself. This folding back of attention, this going back of attention, that is attention looking at its own self. All of us go to a Shiva temple and we worship the Swayambhu Ling, right? The Swayambhu is where the Ling is looking at itself, feeling its own self, experiencing its own self. Bhu means to be in the self, right? So attention is now flowing back to its own self. This turnabout, this radical change in attention from flowing in one direction outside to turning back and flowing on its own self is what Patanjali is calling in this sutra as Pratyak Chetna. Pratyak Chetna. We'll go into the words later. From prati, to go in reverse, to go backwards. A reverse attentiveness, a reverse flowing attentiveness. This folding back of attention, this reverse flowing of attention, in Hindi we could say that when we, after ironing our clothes, we fold our clothes. I don't know exactly what we call it in Hindi, but this folding back of attention, and it will give us a glimpse of the source of attention inside. And we said the source of attention was Ishwara, the soul, the inner real I, the self. Now, all this has come just by practicing the prism exercise, and that is why it is so important to practice the prism exercise. Now, as we keep on practicing this for long, long periods of time, that is holding attention without any object of holding the attention, a new quality which is intrinsic in attention, which was already there, which was happening previously, but we were not aware of it. That is, attention reflects the source from in itself, it reflects the source from where it came. I'll explain this in a different way. I'm again in the garden. I'm again looking at the flower. But the flower is now reflecting the attention back to the seer inside. It is as if the attention is touching the flower, giving me an experience of the flower, folding back and going to the seer inside. That is, we suddenly feel, we suddenly see that we are looking at the flower and we are looking at ourselves at the same time, simultaneously. And this is the whole object of darshan, Artha Yoga Darshanam. We have upgraded that attention, we have increased the frequency of our attention, we have brought that attention to such a powerful quality that it goes out, touches the object, gives us a grasping of the object, an understanding of the object, and it goes back and gives a grasping of the seer at the same time, the person who is looking at the object. Then the outside is not the outside, the inside no longer remains the inside. It is as if the what do you call, the parda, the veil, the wall between what is me and what is not me has suddenly dissolved. And this is where we want to come in. Now we can ask a question over here, that did we awaken this quality in attention? Or did attention in itself inherent from the beginning, have this quality of falling upon an object and reflecting back to the source? Was that quality there from the beginning? Or did this whole prism exercise over so many years bring about this quality? We will realize it was there from the beginning. But when the attention went onto the flower and it reflected back, I was not there any longer. I was caught up in a train of thought, thinking about the properties of the flower, the beauty of the flower, the smell of the flower, etc., and where I had seen more beautiful flowers and less beautiful flowers in the past, and how I will grow this flower in my garden. And so when the attention reflected back, there was an empty gap over there. There was nothing to reflect back upon. So as we upgrade this, as we perfect this, we will see that every object we look at, every person we look at, the attention is reflecting back and giving us a glimpse of the seer within. Now, when we started this exercise in our initial state, there were disturbances, there were kind of seductions which took our attention away. So the attention would go out onto the object, but when the attention came back, we were caught in a disturbance. This disturbance which takes us away from the path of attention, it is called as antaraya, right? Obstacle, antaraya, a disturbance. So what is Patanjali saying in this sutra? He's saying that then through the sounding of the Om, saying the Om, the attention is now habituated to go inside. And when it is habituated to go inside, it flies adhigama, it goes so high that it leaps over all the obstacles. We have now leapt over all the obstacles till we have that inner, what you call, glimpse of that Ishwara inside, that seer inside. So it is as if in my original state, the attention would go out and it would see the object, and I would go into a train of thought about the object. So when the attention came back, there was no one there. And then a point comes where the attention comes back and I'm sitting over there to welcome that attention, to welcome this new guest in my home, right? And in that, I have overcome the antrayas, I have overcome the obstacles, I have overcome so this word adhigama, to fly high, to jump over. So Patanjali is saying, by repetition of the word, now, tad japas tad artha bhavanam. Now, we'll just go back into what we had explained last time. Artha bhavanam. Artha bhavanam. And we'll try the sutra in some other form. Artha object, artha meaning, right? Bhavanam. What is the feeling of the object? What is the value of the object? So, when we first get married and there is physical attraction with the person we get married to, and if the marriage goes on the right path, as we practice what you call grahast ashram, not just marriage, but marriage ashram, as we practice marriage ashram. And the practice of marriage ashram is like, when two people get together and after 6 months they see that so many contradictions are there between two people. And then over a number of years, they try to make all the contradictions complementary till they come to a stage where there is no contradiction between them. And that is now the love, which was the love based on attraction, is love based on value. We value the other person, and that is why we love the person. Initially, when we got married, we were attracted to that person, and that is why we got married. And there's a difference between being attracted and valuing something. So this meaning of artha bhavanam, tad japasta tad artha bhavanam, is that what is the value on that realization of that Ishwar inside? What is the bhavanam that I put on the realization of that Ishwara inside? What is the value? And if the value is sufficiently valued, then japa happens automatically. And we will substitute the word japa with the word remembering. The remembering of that Ishwar happens automatically if there is proper value, and because of that, the attention is directed inward, pratyek chetna, adhigama, it flies high and jumps over antaraya, the obstacles. And this is what he's trying to explain. I don't know, just with this understanding of attention, whether we've been able to understand this sutra or not. Now we'll go into the words and try to go a little deeper into the sutra. So he's saying, in that jumping over, antaraya abhavasya, there is no longer any disturbances, there are no longer any this thing. But my personal, what do you call, thought over here, I would not like to use the word experience, would be that this is a glimpse of a state of that Ishwara where there are no obstacles, but the obstacles are still there. The obstacles have accumulated over thousands of years, and we have a glimpse of the state, but we have to come back and we have to work with the obstacles and remove the obstacles over a period of time. So in the next sutra, he's going to talk about the obstacles, which we will take next Tuesday. So in that, he's going to talk about them there. So here he's just giving you that there is a state beyond the obstacles, and we can experience that state, and he's just talked about that state. Now, before going into the sutra, let us try to understand Mr. Tavaria's or Tavaria Sahib's concept of universal mind. Right? He used to call this universal mind as chitti. Right? Now, He says everything in existence is gone to tab. It's gone to. No. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah. I don't know, it happens automatically. Right. So he says everything in existence, everything in the three worlds is nothing but universal mind. This universal mind or chitti, it takes two forms. One is it makes structures, and one it becomes the petrol for those structures. When we study the Upanishads, these structures are called as Rai, and the petrol in the structures is called as prana, right? So he says everything in this existence is made out of universal mind. All forms, everything which we see is universal mind. The universal mind is like a huge elastic membrane. Everything that impinges on the universal mind, it is thrown back. So every moment I'm thinking, feeling, sensing. So these thoughts, feelings, and sensations of mind, every moment are going and impinging upon the universal mind, and they are thrown back. When they are thrown back, we call this law as karma. This throwing back, we call that law as karma, right? That is, each moment it is reflecting our own thoughts and feelings and sensations. Now, when there are no thoughts, feelings, and sensations, and this attention is going upon the flower, which is the universal mind, it is pure attention is being reflected back, right? And that pure attention gives us a glimpse of the seer within, the divine within, right? So, was just I wanted to bring a background on the sutra, how the prism exercise is so deeply related to this sutra, because after reading, I said, this is nothing but the prism exercise, right? And that is why I wanted to speak about this. Now we'll go into the sutra, try to take each word by word and try to understand what Patanjali is saying. Now, in simple terms, we are saying that our old pattern of attention, which over thousands of years has been habituated to flow outside, to flow towards external stimuli, to flow towards any external source. Now, when we talk in terms of when we talk in terms of spirituality, we'll talk in the terms of out and in and up and down. So when we say we are taking attention in, we are also taking it up at the same time. And when we are taking attention out, we are taking it down at the same time. It is flowing down at the same time. So we will correlate these terms in the same way. Right? Now, this old habit is of attention only flowing outside, is what Mr. Tavariaji would call the structure of acceptance. This is, you are structured in this, that your attention flows outside. We are structured in this. Now, what Patanjali is saying, that the old structure is breaking and there is a new structure forming. And Mr. Tavariaji used to say the new structure is already there behind this. The old structure, the real structure is already there behind this. Right? But we'll say a new structure is forming, which a new habit to take the attention inside. Now, he calls this, and with the rising of this consciousness, so many conditionings, so many concepts, so many prejudices in our life will just drop completely. Right? When this, what you call wall between what me and you, this wall between me and not me, when it starts crumbling, there's a radical change in our inner structure from thinking, feeling, sensing, everything. Everything will, as if overnight, things will just change completely. So he's saying, Tata, thereafter what? The repetition of that Om, the remembering of that japa, remembering of that divine Ishwara, right? Why the remembering of the Ishwara? Because there's value, Artha, bhavanam, right? And that leads to this inner remembering, japa, saying it all the time. And that is Pranav or Omkar, right? He said, because of that, now the attention has moved inside. Tata, thereafter, after that, Pratyak Chetna, Pratyak, Prati Acha, in the opposite direction, to move backwards, to move reverse flowing, as if the river which was flowing from what you call Gaumukh out into this Ganga Sagar at Bengal is now reversing and going back to Gaumukh. There is a reverse flowing of the river, right? And so he's saying Tata Pratyak, the reverse flowing. Now, understand in this word Pratyak, there is Prati Acha. Acha means Archana Karna, to request, Yachna Karna, to ask for. The lover is yearning for his beloved. There is an inner yearning. So in this reverse flowing, there is an inner yearning for that Ishwara. There is a, there is a inner, asking that there can only be fulfillment with that Ishwara now. There cannot be any other fulfillment. So the word Pratyak, Tata Pratyak, the reverse flowing attention, reverse flowing, but not just reverse flowing with that inner yearning that the lover wants to meet his beloved. That with that quality of reverse flowing inside. So there's a longing, there's an inner longing for that state of completeness. Ramdullah Bapu used to call it as purnata, totalness, wholeness, of being one with that Ishwara. And when we use the word prati, it means that there is a reverse flowing, but within that reverse flowing, there are going to be obstacles. You have to, prati means to go against the obstacles. To the river which has its natural flow from Gangotri to Ganga Sagar, in this prati, in this reverse flowing, it has to go against the current. We have to, flow against the current. So when we use the word prati, it means there is a reverse flowing, but there is a reverse flowing against the obstacles. And that is why he's going to talk about the obstacles now. And he calls these obstacles as antaraya. And these obstacles in the way are there. They don't want this reverse flowing. They want to stop the reverse flowing, seduce the attention back, outward, down again, so that it goes out again. And this is why those obstacles are there. Tata, thereafter, pratyak, chetna. Now, the meaning of the definition of the word chetna, chetayate anaya iti. The one which provokes you to look, that which provokes you to chetayate, that provokes you to chet, to see, to perceive, that which provokes you to chetayate, to understand, to know, to grasp, So the inner consciousness is provoking, or the repetition of that Om is provoking the attention to go in. Right? It is provoking the attention to go in and to grasp the Ishwar, to experience the Ishwar, to feel that Ishwar inside. So, tata pratyek chetna, chetayate. There is it is not just to perceive inside, there is a provoking to feel, perceive inside. This provoking, we can call it Hindi as prerak. એ ઈશ્વરને સમજવા માટે પ્રેરે છે, attention. I don't know how to say this in Hindi, but वो ईश्वर को समझने के लिए वो attention को प्रेरणा देता है. प्रेरणा is a Hindi word? Yeah.
Rajan bhai, we can say that it is a catalyst.
Yes, yes. Yes, sir. Tatya pratyek chetna, and chetna comes from the word chitta, to be attentive, perceive, to notice. What is provoking? It could be the Omkar, or it could be the Artha bhavanam, the value of the object, the feeling of the value of the object. Right? Adhigama. Adhigama. Then this reverse attention, pratyek chetna, this reverse attention is adhigama. It is flying high. Gam means to go. And adhi means to go over, to rise over. It rises, but it rises over. The direct meaning of adhigama is to obtain, to acquire, to have mastery. But when adhi is a prefix, which to stand over, to go over. What does it go over? Api antaraya cha abhava cha. What is moreover? Api means moreover, there is absence of what you call disturbances, because that attention has gone over, it has gone over. Now, this word antara is beautiful, very beautiful word. Antar in the middle, inside, in between. Now, antar here is used in a certain sense over here, that there is a movement in one direction, but there is a gap in that, but not just a gap in that, but in that gap, there is a movement in that direction of the gap. I'll give you, I'll try to, what do you call it? Supposing you sit down to study for 1 hour, supposing we sit down in the morning at 5 o'clock to study the Yogasutras. Now, the intellectual mind is the one which is studying. It tries to bring in the heart, so there is an understanding of what we are studying. But the body is controlled by the instinctive mind. And what do you call? The instinctive mind does not like us paying attention to anything, right? Because when we pay attention to anything, we are using up energy from the body. And the instinctive mind is a miser. It does not want the body to use energy. It feels this fellow is studying the Yogasutras, it's all nonsense. Better stop him. So the instinctive mind will send a message to the brain that you have studied for 10 minutes and now you're, what do you call, you must have a cup of tea in between, right? So, how will it send the message to the brain? After 10 minutes of studying, we'll start yawning or something of that sort. And we'll say, oh, we need to have a tea break, or we have to have a coffee break. And so we were going on a certain, what do you call, pathway, right? Now, this word adhigama, we'll go a little deeper into it later, because gama comes from the word gati, right? Gati. So we were going on a certain pathway, and On that pathway, there is an antaraya. Now, in this word antara, antar means inner. Aya also means a pathway. Ayan, which we use in astrology a lot. Uttarayan, the path of the sun moving towards the north. Dakshinayan, the path of the sun moving to the south. Right? So, if you see in the Mahabharata, Bhishma wanted to die in Uttarayan when the sun was moving towards the north. Of course, there are two Uttarayan, one outside in the sky on 14th January and one inside where the consciousness comes to the top of the head. That north is also the top of the head, right? So Bhishma wanted to die in Uttarayan, right? So all these pathways are called gati. All these pathways are called gati. So we'll say, when a person has died in Gujarati, we will say, "Ek kai gati ma gyo?" In which gati did he go? Right? Which pathway? Did Urdhva gati, did he go on a higher gati? Or did he go on to a lower gati? So all these pathways are called gati, right? In which gati did he go? I don't know if I'm coming across in this, right? Because everybody would not understand Gujarati. We are moving on this pathway to study the Yogasutras for 1 hour. And in that, we get this desire to have a cup of tea. And we don't realize that the instinctive mind has purposely sent that desire so we don't spend energy on studying the Yogasutras, because for the instinctive mind, that's all nonsense, yeah, studying the Yogasutras, right? And so we get up and we go to, what do you call, make some tea. And then when we make some tea, we say, why not a packet of wafers with the tea? It would be nice to, have a packet of wafers. And then as we are coming back from the kitchen with the tea and the packet of wafers, we'll say, why not I watch TV for 5 minutes or something of that sort. And so I'm watching TV for 5 minutes and then 1 hour goes away. I forget what I had to do in the Yogasutras. So on this pathway, there was antar. Within that pathway, there was something which took me on a different ayan, a different pathway, and I got lost in that, and the original gati was gone. So that is called as antaraya, an obstacle. I don't know if I've come across this. It is a new gati, je original gati ni vacche aave. It is a different gati which comes in the middle of the original gati. So aya, to go in a sense of a certain direction. Antaraya, to go in a sense of a direction opposite to the original direction. Antaraya abhavacha. Now this cha over here, and it's very mysterious, and it can be added anywhere in this whole sutra, right? So we just won't take that. We'll just say abhava, the antaraya abhav. So we'll say that because of the repetition of Om, because of tad artha tad japasta bhavana, because of that artha bhavanam of that Ishwara, there was a pratyek chetna, reverse flowing of the consciousness, which rose very high. When it rose very high, moreover, antaraya abhav, there was absence of obstacles, absence of that antaraya, right? And then he puts the word cha, and. Now, this and can be put anywhere in this sutra, or it may also mean the next sutra, and te antaraya, because in the next sutra he says, te, these are the antarayas, and these are the antarayas. It could mean that. Cha could also be put at the beginning, and thereafter, and tata, cha, tata, but that doesn't sound proper over there. And we could put it anywhere, but so we'll leave that out just for the present moment. Now, this is my personal observation, it has nothing to do with the sutra, is that in this sutra, he's giving us a glimpse of a state of no obstacles, abhav, right? From bhu to be, abhav not to be. Right? He's giving us a glimpse of a state without obstacles, but definitely we have to come back and over a long period of self-observation, observe the obstacles and be free of the obstacles. We can't just say we have gone over the obstacles and there are no obstacles. This is my personal opinion, right? So there is an inward flow of consciousness. That inward flow of consciousness flies so high that it leaps over the obstacles. And we have this glimpse of that state where there are no obstacles, abhav, and this has happened through the continuous remembering or japa. But somewhere we have to, in the next sutra, it says, cha te antaray, these are the obstacles. We have to understand the obstacles in the next sutra and we have to start working upon them. Right? So I've just taken this sutra in that way. Now, before I finish on this sutra, I just want to take one more, because about 700 years ago, there was a very famous commentary on the Yogasutras by an authority called Vignan Bhikshu. Of course, he has written commentaries on the Vedas and everything. And in that, he has taken this sutra in a very different way. I just want to put it up to you. Personally, it doesn't look like this is the explanation for this sutra, but just to give you a different idea, I want to put it up to you. He has taken pratyak to mean each individual. Pratyak to mean each individual. Pratyak chetna, each individual soul, right? Because the souls are still individual. The spirit is not individual. Then, right? So, tata pratyak chetna, adhigama, has flown over. Each individual soul has flown over the obstacles. He has taken this sutra in this way. It doesn't look like it is this way, but we still have to be open because he was such a famous commentator on this. So we understand that there are antaraya, there are things which come in the way and takes us into different movement from the original movement, and the understanding of those obstacles there which prevent real inner realization, which prevent true inner knowledge, to intellectually comprehend them and then come to a stage where we determine for ourselves that we are going to remove the obstacles completely. So I'll finish over here. Tata pratyek chetna adhigama api antaraya abhavascha. Right? So I'll just stop over here. I hope I've been able to convey the meaning of this sutra. If there are any questions, please do ask the questions. Yeah.
Rajan bhai, गुड इवनिंग।
गुड इवनिंग टू यू सर।
इसका मतलब ये है एक लाइन में कि द होल प्रोसेस फॉर ऑब्जर्विंग द ऑब्जर्वर इटसेल्फ, मतलब ऑब्जर्वर इज ऑब्जर्व्ड, व्हेन यू आर डूइंग दैट, व्हेन द थॉट प्रोसेस कम्स बैक, am I right?
When the attention comes back, sir.
Yeah, when the attention comes back,
it jumps over the thought process.
तो जिसको भी
it doesn't allow the thought process to seduce the attention, to abduct the attention.
Right. तो जो वो है, जो भी कुछ है, whatever it is, I'm unable to explain that. That is nothing but pranidhan or Ishwar.
Ishwar pranidhan. We have started from Ishwar. This all these sutras are on Ishwar pranidhan.
Yeah.
All these sutras are on Ishwar, right? So pra we said to go back, ni to collect and bring together, and dha to hold there, to take the attention back to its original owner, which is the Ishwar inside, collect it and take it back and hold it over there. We called it as pranidhan, the process of pranidhan, right? Our attention is stuck in objects. Our attention is stuck in relationships. Our attention is stuck in thoughts. To bring the attention now and to take it back to its source and fill up that source, right? Ni is to fill up that source, pra to take it back, and dhan is to hold it over there, right? Pranidhana. So Ishwara Pranidhana.
तो ये स्थिति हमेशा ऐसे ही बनी रहे. I mean, if I want that I stay in the same, जैसे वो glimpse कभी आता है मान लिए during meditation, तो how to do that, prolong that? वही practice.
Only through practice, sir, and through what you call deep process, a habit of deep relaxation. Because the minute the glimpse comes, something will tense somewhere. The minute something tenses somewhere, the thought processes start. So the idea is to be in such a state of relaxation that there is no tense anywhere, right? And you can hold that state for longer periods of time.
Thank you.
Shailja.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste, namaste. How are you?
Thank you, sir. I'm fine. Thank you for asking. Sir, actually, I started my prism exercises a month back. So, but there was always a thought, like watching your online videos only, I started doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know that the thought is there that there's a prism. I have to go beyond. Then I see the cloth. Then I know that there is a table. So, there itself, it gets stuck. I cannot go. I know that I have to go look deeper, but it's always stuck in there. I don't know how can we go ahead to look deeper.
You want to look through and through, right? So
Yes.
I would say that you visualize that you're looking for somebody you know, somebody you like, somebody you love. And the only place you can find that person is through the prism. So you say, oh, I can see him, but I can't see him. He's still further away. Look further. Oh, I see him. Can't see him. He's further away. Let me look further. And keep looking further and further. Right? The more you are involved in active looking, the thoughts will not be able to come. And you'll be separating from the thought. So you'll be jumping over the thought. I don't know if have you got it?
Yes, sir. This point I actually tried, but I caught up in when I was with that beloved, what happened? Those many things were coming up. So it was literally disturbed. Then I had stopped for a week. Again, I have to restart that practice now. I just wanted.
One day, Tavariaji Sahib we were traveling in the car together.
Okay.
And we were talking about the prism exercise. And he says, the shortest shortcut to the divine is the prism exercise.
Oh.
These were his words. The shortest shortcut to the divine is the prism exercise.
Okay.
Right? So
Okay.
Even after so many years, I spend 20 minutes to half an hour looking at the prism every day. Right? So whatever I have spoken today is what I have gained from the prism. Right? It is not, this is not the ordinary, what do you call, explanation of this sutra, which you will find elsewhere. It is what has, it has been graced upon me through the prism. Okay? So please do practice the prism. And he is asked only for 5 minutes. You don't have to practice more than 5 minutes.
So it's only once, sir? I mean, only once in a day? Can I?
Once in a day for 5 minutes. That's all you have to do.
Okay.
Of course, this old pool can practice for half an hour. It doesn't matter, right? But you practice for 5 minutes every day.
Okay, sir. So today's in that sutras, you were mentioning that, yes, definitely the attention, we can bring it back with the prism exercise, and the understanding will come, that grasping will come.
Yeah, the power of attention to grasp will increase more and more.
Oh, okay. Okay, sir. Yes, got it. So today I got this question because I was going through one of your talks. I was like intellectually I think that I was understanding, but it was when I really want to, I was thinking that it should go into each of my cell, body cell. It should go. When I was thinking, it was like, no, it cannot happen because you're not understanding. Those kind of a thoughts were coming into that, and I am thankful that I got to
So
know.
never doubt yourself, right? Never doubt yourself, but don't have so much confidence that it goes into the ego. Stay in the middle.
Yes, okay, sir.
Right.
There was happening. I was kind of, yes, you are understanding one way. Another way, it was like, yeah, you are not understanding. There is so much was confusion is happening. So I think definitely Prism exercise will make me to go through much deeper level, I feel. So just last question, sir. In that talk, you were talking about the black flame related forgiveness. How can we practice the forgiveness? So you mentioned of imagining the black flame. I didn't understand what is that black flame mean.
It is. I don't use the word imagining. I use the word visualization. Visualizing.
Sorry. Okay. Yes.
Visualizing,
Sorry.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Visualizing.
we visualize the black flame, and
because we have not seen I have not seen any black flame, so I couldn't get the exact what is black flame.
Okay, what you can do is light a small birthday candle.
Yes.
And when you're looking at the candle, look at the flame, and then close your eyes and try to see the flame inside.
Okay, sir.
Now, when you stop seeing the flame inside, again, you open your eyes and look at the flame outside. Then again, close your eyes and try to hold the flame inside. Don't worry that it is not black, it is yellow. Don't worry about it just now. We'll talk about the black flame later.
Okay, sure.
So just do this one exercise. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.
Sir, may I ask a question?
Please do.
Sir, meditating with single pointedness on your Ishta Devata can also produce the same effect, isn't it? Single pointed attention.
Yes. And then hold the attention without the Ishta Devata.
Yes.
Without. Because the Ishta Devata is just the sakar or roop of something which is beyond roop.
Yes.
You get it?
Yes.
So it is just the form of the formless.
Yes.
So move from the form to the formless.
It is the opposite of the antara that you said. The opposite of the antara that you said. Mentioned.
Antaraya is the obstacle. Right?
Yes.
Definitely obstacles will come even when you're looking at your Ishta Devata.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If a smell comes from the kitchen, you'll say good samosas today. So
yes.
so
Very true.
looking at the Ishta Devata.
Very true.
So the antarayas will come. Don't worry.
Yes. Thank you.
All the best. No other questions. Tell him to go to a talk from YouTube on the prism. There is a couple of YouTube videos on the prism exercise. I would request the person to have a look at one of them. Right.
Rajan bhai, the explanation of the Antarayan was very beautiful. And it provides a kind of a clue how to become more attentive and watchful so that one doesn't get caught up into the subsidiary chain of thoughts. It's a wonderful exposition. Anybody else who has a question, please go ahead. Nobody seems to be forthcoming.
So next week is the Antaraya, but I may not be able to finish in one session, so we may extend that to 2 sessions.
That is fine, Rajan bhai, as it suits you. Swati wants to ask a question.
Yeah. Namaste, Rajen bhai.
Namaste, Swati. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I just wanted to, ask your help. You talked about the gaps, when we talked about the law of seven. Okay.
Yeah.
There's one gap at gap, and there is another big gap. I think last 1 year I have that a huge gap in all the practices. So, I'm not able to keep up with whatever I used to do 4 or 5 years. So, can you help me, how I can fill in that huge gap?
See what Gurdjieff says, that when there is a gap, you have to take a little help from a higher source or a parallel source. So the idea, because you're in America, you're in Michigan, no? Just now, where are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have a friend or someone who is interested in these ideas, right? Interested. So maybe you could call her or something one Sunday, and you just sit and listen to recordings and listen to lectures and do something only related to the work for one day, right? And that will give you the push to again fill the gap and move on with your practices. Because you can't come to a camp. If you come to a camp, then you have to come to India, right? But if you could come to a camp, then the camp gives you a push to continue for another 6 months or so, at least. Then again, the
I wanted to come to one of your over here, but somehow, transportation and a lot of other factors, I couldn't come. I really wanted to, but let's
maybe
see.
next year in New Jersey. Next year in New Jersey. Okay, all the best, Swati. Take care.
Thank you, Rajen bhai.
Shelja is one more question.
On chat.
What's that?
Yeah. The question from Shailaja is, I have always have a confusion between consciousness and awareness. If they are one or are they different?
Okay. Now we'll take these three words: consciousness, awareness, attention. In the Indian Shastra, consciousness is called as Sat, just to be. Awareness is Chitta, right? I know, I'm aware that to be. I know, I'm aware that I am, right? Now, what leads us from to be aware about something, and that is attention. Attention. Let us just say that consciousness is a field, and everything in the universe is in that field of consciousness. So, if I go into a dark room and I throw a torch on something, or I throw a light on something, and I see, oh, I have this beautiful chair in this dark room. So that chair was in the field of my consciousness, but was not in the field of my awareness. Now, because I have thrown attention on that chair which was outside the field of my awareness has come into the field of my consciousness. But so I am now conscious of the chair by becoming aware of the chair. Previously, it was a part of my consciousness, but I was unaware of it, right? So consciousness is a field. In the field, we use the torch, light, attention. And when the light falls upon something, we become aware that this is in my field of consciousness, right? Now, you may call me a very miserly person or a very selfish person. And I get angry on you and I react on you. Okay, who are you to call me a miserly person? Who are you to call me a selfish person? What does it mean? That miserliness and selfishness lies in my field of consciousness, but I am not aware of it. Now, when I take the attention inside and I observe where all I have been selfish, where all I have been miserly, then these two patterns of mine, being a miser and being selfish, I become aware of that they are lying within me, and what can I do to be free of them? Can you understand? So consciousness is a field, attention is a torch which we throw on the field, and when we become aware of what objects are already lying in the field, that is awareness. Right? But in normal practice, things just get mixed up, and sometimes you use consciousness for awareness and awareness for consciousness. And I'll also try to take Mr. Tavaria Sahib's definition. The divine is conscious. The soul is aware. Now, in Mr. Tavaria's definition, consciousness never changes. It is always the same. Nothing changes in consciousness. It is awareness which rises and falls. So, whether it is the God in the temple or whether it is an ordinary rock on a mountain, both are conscious. Or we can say that there is a rock on the mountain and there is an animal next to the rock. The animal seems more conscious than the rock. But the rock is also conscious, the animal is also conscious. Just we are not aware of the consciousness in the rock, and we are more aware of the consciousness in the, in the animal, because when we throw attention on the animal, it is jumping and dancing and eating and etc. And so it says this is more conscious, but it is not more conscious. Everything in the world is equally conscious. Consciousness never changes. But the parda, the veil of Maya, and the more we lift the veil of Maya, the more we become aware of what is behind that veil, which is consciousness. And we lift it by throwing attention, by the use of attention. I don't know whether I've been able to explain the terms, but right? Some have ADHD. Oh yes, this is a very modern disease, especially in children. And it upsets me a lot, because when I travel to America and I see these children in school, they've been diagnosed with ADHD, and they're given such heavy medicines, Adderall and all of them. And it's very sad, where this can be, got over just by proper, coordination between parents, children, teachers, etc. But attention deficit, we don't have the power of holding attention. What in Shastra is called the absence of dharana shakti. Gurdjieff would call it the absence of will. And the problem is they don't teach dharana shakti in schools, right? The power to hold attention, hold it on one thing, the power to diffuse attention, hold it on many things at the same time, the power to divide attention, nothing. This is not taught in any school. And if it is taught from the KG onwards, then we would never have something like ADHD. But it's very sad. And the way it is spreading these days, that more and more children are diagnosed with this ADHD. Sometimes I wonder whether it is a conspiracy of the pharmaceutical companies or what. Right? Huh? Right. It's very sad. Yeah.
Can the prism exercise help?
Yes, it can help a lot, the prism exercise. Please have the children doing this prism exercise in ADHD. Another very powerful exercise which I did for a long time when Mr. Tavaria was teaching me, and that is I used to put a black dot tika, the ladies' tika. You get the ready-made tika in the mirror, and then I used to sit in front of the mirror and hold the dot over here, right? The dot would be in the mirror, and the minute I start thinking, my head would go like this from the dot. I would not be. Again, I would have to hold the dot, come back to non-thinking. It's a very, very powerful exercise for attention. It's a very powerful exercise for hyperactivity, where it calms the nerves as if you've suddenly got control over all your nerves. And you can do this exercise for 5-10 minutes every day. Very powerful.
So, good evening, Rajan sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
Sir, I want to understand a little more on the energy of sensitivity. Actually, what I feel is that theoretically, maybe I understand what you say, but still somewhere I'm missing something on this energy of sensitivity.
Okay. I touch this. This is rough or smooth is what? Sensitivity.
Sensitivity.
Energy of sensitivity. I don't like rough and I like smooth is what? Energy of
Sensitiveness.
emotion.
Okay.
Can you get it? So in emotion, there is like and dislike.
Mhm.
In sensitivity, there is comfortable and uncomfortable. One minute, huh? I'll just put this on charge. So in emotion, there is like, dislike. In sensitivity, there is comfortable, uncomfortable. Now, all outside impressions first come to our instinctive mechanism because it is there to protect us. The energy of sensitivity, the basic idea of that energy, the basic function is to protect us, right? So now you're sitting on a chair and the chair is uncomfortable, right? So you'll just adjust your thing to protect yourself, right? But if you say that I don't like uncomfortable chairs, then you have taken that further into the emotional center, and from the emotional center to the thinking, I don't like and all that. And can you get? So sensitivity is of the five senses.
Okay.
Get it? And that is the energy of sensitivity. Now, there is a difference in the energy of sensitiveness. In the energy of sensitiveness, we get excited by some stimuli. But in sensitivity, we are holding the sensitivity without getting excited by any stimuli. Supposing I get married, right? So I say after 6 months, I'm looking at this same girl every day, the same woman every day, I'm bored. So do I have sensitivity or sensitiveness?
Sensitivity.
Sensitiveness.
Okay.
Sensitiveness.
Mhm.
I need something to excite me, right? Can you get it? And she no longer, I'm bored of her face, she no longer excites me. Can you get what I'm trying to say? I'll say, I'm bored of you, you no longer excite me. But if I am holding sensitivity, then it is the same face every day, but every day it is new. Can you get it? The sensitivity is new. So there's a difference between sensitivity and sensitiveness. Of course, in normal terms, we will call sensitiveness as excitement. But Mr. Tavariaji used to call it as sensitivity and sensitiveness, right? So the first step which any spiritual student does, he moves from the energy of sensitiveness to the energy of sensitivity, right? Otherwise, in normal life, we always are looking for something to excite us. Has a new movie come? Is there a new serial on HBO or something? You get what I'm trying to say, right? Or is there a new restaurant in town which can give, titillate my senses a little? This titillating of the senses is excitement, sensitiveness, right? And sensitiveness accumulates. And sometimes when somebody pokes a pin, I go bam like this, and it just goes like a nuclear bomb, right? So that is sensitiveness. While in sensitivity, right, you're talking to me, you may be giving me the worst bad words, but there is a sensitivity about what you're saying. And I'm not accumulating sensitiveness. Can you get what I'm saying?
Thank you.
All the best. Shall we finish, sir?
Yes, Rajan bhai.
If you'd like to say a slok or something, sir.
Okay, as you wish. So let us end with the Shanti part. Allowing the energy of this satsang to spread out to the world and bring resolution. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarve शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनो सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चिद् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः